right, TCU and Baylor. We've got Baylor 3-point home favorites, 64.5 the total here in this game. I think we were both on this side, Texas Tech, because I think we both talked about liking Texas Tech last week against TCU. TCU is just not a team you can ever trust as a favorite. You just can't. You just can't. I mean, we've seen it enough this year. They've been a horrible favorite. And once again, they were being asked to lay, 6.5, 7 there last week against Texas Tech. And life and death, they were to win that game, 35-34. But now they're back in the underdog role this week, TCU. So that's totally different. You look at, and I like Josh Hoover in the offense. And look, I don't put it too much stock into the fact they only scored 13 against Utah, because Utah's a pretty good defensive team. They got their offense going. Their defense is still very suspect, TCU, as they showed last week. And that was not Baron Morton at quarterback either. It was at the beginning, but he got injured, and in comes Will Hammond, and Will Hammond ended up playing well for Texas Tech against that TCU defense. And again, they've been awful. They haven't covered a number. I've got them as 0-6 against the spread as a favorite this year, TCU. But you know what they are as a dog? 2-0 against the spread. And they won both of those games outright against Kansas and Utah as an underdog. And I'll tell you what about Baylor. I know we're starting to see some signs of life from them. They 59-35 at Texas Tech, 38-28 last week at home against Oklahoma State, 2-0 straight up and against the spread the last two games. But I don't fully trust Baylor here still just yet, laying 3 and even 3.5 now in some spots. At 3.5, I'm in with TCU. I do like TCU if you can get 3 in the hook here in this game. And I certainly think we see points. I mean, I could only look over. TCU's an over machine when they play a good offense. And right now, Baylor's a good offense. I mean, Sawyer Robertson's playing really well. This Dawson Pendergrass is running the ball extremely well for Baylor as well. A couple of receivers have stepped up. TCU's defense still not good. But I think Hoover and the Horned Frogs offense can move this ball against Baylor on the defensive side. Not to mention, TCU put up 42 last year and beat Baylor 42-17 in that game. And Hoover had 412 passing yards against Baylor last year for TCU. So I'm looking at TCU plus 3.5 over the total as well. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I lean over. I still, even with the 64, I think it could get over just because of these defense. And last week, Baylor got a late touchdown, got that cover. Robertson was good, but they ran it. They ran it all, over Oklahoma State, did Baylor. And that's off to them. They got the cover. That was a game I'm glad I kind of stayed off. TCU, this has been a problem for Baylor, even when they've had good teams. TCU is just bad matchup. I don't know what it is. I'm on the 3. I think take TCU money line here as well. But, man, no, this is where I want them. Every time they're laying points with that defense, it's like, oh, hell.
No way.
No. Yeah. But now I think, they're getting 3. We talked about Hoover. The offense can move it. Their defense is very good. This seems like one that's going to go down to the wire. The TCU, they haven't mind going to Waco, to Baylor either, and kicking their ass. So TCU here, lean over.